There's an old story about how to catch a monkey. In case any of you are interested in how to catch a monkey, now you're going to know how to do it. First, you have to take a large, narrow-necked jar, just large enough in diameter at the top for a monkey to put its hand inside. Then you have to fill it partway with rocks so it's too heavy for the monkey to carry. Then you scatter some treats near the jar to attract him, and you put some inside the narrow-necked jar. A monkey will come along, if you're lucky, and grab the goodies, but he'll want the ones inside the jar too, so then put his hand in there and grab what's in there. And if you've set up your monkey trap properly, then he won't be able to get his hand out because he's got the goodies, not without unclenching his hand, not without relinquishing what he already has. The monkey catcher can just walk over and just pick up the monkey, because the monkey isn't into the whole sacrifice thing, because he's just a monkey, and so you can catch him as a consequence of his own unregulated hypothalamic desires, and to be, what would you say, charitable to the monkey. If you put out candy or something like that, it's like, how often does a monkey get candy? He's probably a little more motivated than you are to not let go, but you get the point. The monkey catcher can just walk over to the jar and pick up the monkey. The animal will not sacrifice the part for the whole. That's actually a pretty good phrase, eh? It's the animal that will not sacrifice the part for the whole. Perhaps this story is apocryphal, but as an eccentric psychology professor once told me, fiction lies to you in the most truthful possible manner. Something valuable given up ensures future prosperity. Something valuable sacrificed pleases the Lord. Those are equivalent statements. One's more articulated, I would say that's the first statement, and the second one is more dramatic and more embedded in a collective religious dream, you might say. What's most valuable and best sacrificed? Well, obviously that depends on the culture and the time. What is at least emblematic of that? A choice cut of meat. Well, if you're a herdsman, for example, that's a big deal. Generally speaking, throughout human history, meat has been a very valuable commodity, as it is, by the way, among chimpanzees. Chimpanzees hunt. They like to hunt colobus monkeys. And, they'll basically start eating the damn monkey alive. They weigh about 40 pounds, despite the fact that the thing is screaming away. And that's pretty interesting, because one of the things it indicates is that male monkeys, male chimps, they're the ones that do the hunting, aren't really inhibited that much when they're in hunter mode by what you might describe as empathy. And there's certain elements of human behavior that are reminiscent of that. You see that sort of thing emerge now and then in human battlefields when groups of men seem to abandon all internal regulation whatsoever to a degree that makes you wonder if internal regulation even exists.
Welcome back, everybody. DavidXRPLion. Sorry for my squeaky chair. The Lord had me put together let me back up for a second. We know that we're very, very, very close to the final announcement that's going to be coming, the EBS alert. Let me just preface everything by saying, once that goes off, everything that existed in the past, and I'm talking about the Rothschilds, banksters, Barr, Crown, Khazarian Mafia, legal banking system, fiat, it doesn't exist. Matter of fact, it's pretty much already done at this point. We've already transitioned over. They've got the QFS with the XRP ledger, XRP as the master key, working in consort with the gatekeeper AI, controlling everything, stopping every attack taking place, trying to keep from Nassar Jassar from coming in. Now, there's a lot of people out there that either don't care or have set other priorities. That's getting paid through YouTube videos, getting paid for private sponsorships, selling gold, generating huge commissions. Even directing people to a certain company that will help you with the purchase of XRP. Now, they're all motivated to make money. And let's just call it the way it is. The reason this is coming about is the Lord has been showing me for over 18, 19 weeks now what the new financial system operating under QFS looks like. And it's about time that people embrace it. Now, I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here on behalf of the Lord to show you the revelation that he has made known. And isn't it amazing that as I'm getting this information out in just bits and pieces, there are so many more deceivers pushing the old fiat message to keep people stuck. And I like to call that the monkey with his hand in the jar. And you just saw that short little video clip with regards to that. So you're either stuck, you get your hand in the jar, and there's anything that's going to ever change your mind because of the people that you're listening to who will all be proved wrong very shortly, or you embrace the fact that you know you've been held back, you've been stuck, been trapped, and you're seeking the truth. No one's going to keep it from you. So what I did is I put together a short video. Again, this is from the top down. This doesn't go into the detail as extensive as another version I am contemplating preparing. But if just one person sees the light, it will have accomplished what it was set out to do. Okay? So here we go. Slide 1, the unveiling. The XRP truth is now unsealed. I've unsealed it. He has placed me in the role of the sovereign messenger, the divine messenger, to provide you with this information. XRP is the master key, and I've revealed it in plain sight. This is the truth they never wanted you to see. And that was pretty much what he had me posting in the very beginning. A master key, XRP, was crafted before time. And I've talked about that. What does it mean before time? Before time. Before you were flesh and blood. Before the earth was created. God already contemplated what was necessary. And it's now unlocked. This is the XRP revelation. XRP is not a bridge. Now, I've used that term in the past, and I spent an extensive amount of time today revamping that narrative. It's not a bridge. That's just the narrative. It's a guarantee. Just as XRP was never a security, it is security. So XRP does not bridge currencies. What is it? What is it there to do? Well, number one, it was there to take down the Khazarian Mafia fiat currency system that enslaved us for over hundreds of years under the Vatican, under the crown, under the bar. It guarantees every transaction. And every transaction that it guarantees is 100% gold backed because XRP is securitized collateral. Okay? It's kind of like when I was growing up with my brother. There were times when we just beat the snot out of each other. And my dad just let us do it. Now, were we doing it to hurt each other? No. But kind of got tired of all the pokes. And I was the oldest. I was 36 months older than him. So think of XRP as my dad. He's the referee. My dad would put the boxing gloves on me. He'd put them on my brother. And he'd say, okay, boys, let them fly. XRP, as the digital asset collateral, securitized by all the gold that's been quantumized onto the QFS, all the gold that Trump and the global alliance seized under the executive orders. That's what backs it. That's what allows it to do what it was always intended to do. But see, you've heard me talk about the fact that it wasn't a currency, it wasn't a token, it wasn't there to facilitate cross-border payments. That was the cover story, okay? It was there to take out the cabal, to render them so they could be eradicated. And that's exactly what's been taking place. Rothschilds and all the 13 bloodlines gone, and all the narratives with BlackRock, State Street, and anybody else, false, made up to keep you distracted. While God's plan to implement our new financial system was taking place. Okay? So back to the example of my dad being an XRP. Okay? I show up, my brother shows up. Does my dad throw the punches? Does he say, okay, Dave, are you ready? Do you want to throw a punch at your brother? And then he's the one that punches my brother? And then vice versa? No. He just oversees everything. So in case something goes wrong, he's there to handle the situation. And he makes it right. So XRP does not act as a bridge between currencies. It ensures every transfer is failure proof, secured by 100% gold backed digital collateral. So in the buyer, when two or more parties come together in a transaction on the XRPL through XRP and the gatekeeper AI for the quantum financial system, XRP doesn't touch money. It doesn't say, oh, well, you got yen and you got dollars. So I'm going to take your yen and I'm going to convert it to dollars and I'm going to do all of that through the token. No. Once the EBS alert goes off, every single currency in the world is automatically, and this has already been approved, all the countries have signed on, 209 nations, every single currency will be valued and pegged. $1 of their currency equals $1 of our currency. Now I'm going to give it to you as an accountant. Okay. The XRPL is a huge ledger. It's a set of books. It's a divine law set of books. XRP and the gatekeeper AI facilitate aiding the people in the transaction, not being their money, but just overseeing, making sure that it's all legit, that these people are who they say they are, that they don't have alternative motivation to do ill will. That's where the gatekeeper AI comes in. It senses anything, it shuts down the transaction. Money doesn't move from one quantum access account to another. So without XRP there to guarantee what's taking place, nothing happens. See, and we couldn't say that if it was currency. It's not currency. Okay. And again, we're talking high level here. Okay. Here's the new terminology that we're bringing in to replace the word bridge. The word bridge is tied to the old system. So in the new quantum financial system, we're not using the term bridge. And every time you hear somebody use the word bridge, you know, if it's Brad Garlinghouse or David Schwartz or somebody that is aware of what's going on, that's just a cover-up word. Okay. Now, if there's somebody that truly doesn't know what's going on because they're still talking about CBDCs and they're talking about market cap, well, you know, just cover it with love and realize that they're part of the 99% that don't have a clue, who are leading people astray. And we'll have to be accountable for that at some point. Okay. So we're talking about what XRP is. It is a sovereign collateral layer of the quantum financial system. It's a fail-safe guarantee protocol. Think about that. It's a protocol. Fail-safe guarantee. Never going to fail. And I've already run the analysis. I've run my algorithms. I've tested it and tested it and tested it beyond what the capabilities are. And it's passed every single test. Nobody else has done that, by the way. Nobody. And there's people out there claiming I haven't done, or nobody has done what I've done. Well, they don't know what I've done. They don't want to listen. Okay. It's immutable gold-backed settlement assurance. Immutable gold-backed settlement assurance. That's not a bridge, people. That's not a bridge. See, and they use that term in the old system to give people the impression that the banks, when they were independently owned and operated by those in the cabal, the nefarious banksters, that they were the ones deciding if they were going to use the XRPL, if they were going to use XRP. Again, it's a false narrative. Why? This is what you're going to find out. Okay. XRP does not act as a bridge between currencies. It ensures every transaction is failure-proof, secured by 100% gold-backed digital collateral. The QFS does not operate on legal contracts. It operates on lawful, okay, legal. Legal is the nefarious fiat system. Lawful is the sovereign, divine, four-door, heavenly protocol. Okay, so it operates on the divine heavenly protocol, which is pre-coded into its intent. Okay, in the quantum financial system, legal has no power. That's why any talk about institutions and banks, you're going to see what happened to all of them that you may or may not be aware of, but it is extremely important from your ability to understand what's taking place. What governs, excuse me, is lawful, a structure sealed in divine order and mathematical precision. It's immutable collateral. There's no counterparty risk, no volatility. So we're talking about no counterparty risk, no volatility. This is what we have as we transition from the old corrupt system into the divine law sovereign system on the QFS. XRP is digital asset collateral. It's not currency. We've talked about this. It's digital asset collateral. It's immutable and incorruptible. And what does immutable mean? It means unchangeable, incapable of being altered, edited, deleted, or tampered with. It is a permanent record. This is what's taken out the cabal. Everything on it is permanent. Whatever you do, it's permanent. So unlike fiat, that's the old system that's gone away. Unlike token speculation, XRP is immutable collateral. One more time. It's not owned. It's not traded. It's only stewarded with lawful purpose. Okay, are you picking this up? I said from day one in the valuation committee with Jimmy, there will not be any stock markets. That is the old corrupt system, and the Lord is not allowing that to come into his new heavenly system. XRP is not traded, and I will go head to head with anybody out there that wants to debate the new QFS system. But see, they don't want to go there. Why? Because they don't make any money. They want to stay in the old corrupt system, trading, which means for every dollar they win, they took a dollar away from somebody else. It's a zero-sum game. They want to stake. They want to earn interest. There's none of that in the new QFS system that is 100% fully activated already right now, but we won't be made aware of it, the public, till after the EBS alert goes off. And then people have to go to redemption centers. And there are far too many people out there that are hijacking all the information that I'm putting out there, putting their own spin on it, taking articles that I've published and spent a ton of time on, and not giving credit where credit is due. And that's to the Father, first off. He gets the credit for everything. I'm just the messenger. I just deliver the message. So if you're one of those people out there that is doing this, and I see you all over TikTok, stop it. You're going to come to have to account for that. It's theft, okay? Plain and simple. I see stuff that I put together over 2 years ago being put all over the Intel reports, all over the internet, and it was all copyrighted. It was all proprietary, okay? But you're not doing God justice. You're not honoring him when you steal what he has provided for me to put out there on his behalf. And that's all I'm going to say about it. But we are stewards of the repatriation of the XRP that's bought back. And we will have to sign contracts with regards to how it's used. We're to be great stewards. That's why we're stewarding it. Okay. Next, the XRPL runs on free energy. I've talked about this before. It runs on Tesla free energy out of Cheyenne Mountain under quantum governance, under divine sovereign law from heaven. You don't have to like that. You don't have to acknowledge it, but it's the truth. The XRPL is already operational. It's secured beneath Cheyenne Mountain and guarded by quantum governance under heaven's divine law. 6. The Gatekeeper AI watches all. It already did a 7-year scan from June 11th, 2018 to June 11th, 2025 on everybody. And it already determined who's going into the redemption center and who isn't. It adjudicates intent. What does that mean? It knows your heart. It read your heart. It read your motives. It read your modus operandi. And for many people, it's not going to go well because it's already locked in. And the Lord's had me deliver that message for years about getting your heart right. I'm sorry, not being callous, but he didn't have me delivering this message just to take up space. So now you are accountable. And the Gatekeeper AI has already determined that. And the sad part is you could have ZIMs and you could have currencies and everything else in XRP, but the Gatekeeper AI has already made the determination whether or not you're going to be able to participate. See, it's a hard issue. It has been from the very beginning. It's about your frequency. It's about stewardship. And more importantly, it all sums up to alignment. Are you in alignment? Were you in alignment? So that way on June 11th, the day the riots kicked off in Los Angeles, were you for God? Were you against God? Or did you just not give a darn? But every transaction, every frequency, every steward is scanned. That's how they knew where all the bad guys were. That's how they knew the moment they moved. Remember I told you when the Father told me he turned back on the Schumann resonance, started the engine again for the earth, and we all became like little antennae, and we were transmitting. That's how they got all the information. It reports, records, and stores everything. That's what the XRPL or the XRP ledger does. It's a divine, heavenly, and spiritual accounting system that sees all, knows all, records all. This message is being recorded and transcribed and stored in my quantum access account. The Gatekeeper AI sees the heart, not just the actions. Well, you can have people that are just, all smiley faces and their hearts are just as rotten and corrupt as can be. They'll give you one impression, and then when nobody's looking or they think it's okay, they're flipping people off. They're attacking people. That's what we're talking about here. It judges intent and assigns access. So you've either passed the intent portion or you haven't, and it has already assigned your access. Slide 7, no banks, no exchanges. What does this mean? It means that if anybody out there is believing in the old corrupt system, they're lost. That system is dead. It's been eradicated. It's been terminated. Fiat terminated. All banks are now subsidiaries of the U.S. Treasury, and the foreign banks were all acquired and bought out by the Asian elders. So globally, we have the Asian elders who paid for everything already, by the way. And then we have the U.S. Treasury that owns all of the banks in the United States. They're not independently owned anymore. There's no Wall Street. So Jamie Dimon and all these BlackRock characters and everything else, it's just fiction. It's all part of the narrative, but some of you just don't want to believe it. So you use that to justify trying to hype and pump XRP, which doesn't work. That's why once I knew what I knew from the Lord, I could sit there and say, no, the pump isn't going to work. No, this isn't going to work. No, that's not going to do anything. And all these paid influencers get so excited because it drew people to their platforms. I told everybody what the lawsuit was all about. It was all part of the greatest sting operation in history, which I began to report back on in 2000 about, when nobody talked about it. Nobody had a clue. So again, if you're buying into that narrative, you're on the wrong side of the truth. The Federal Reserve, gone. IRS, gone. BlackRock, gone. State Street, gone. Who's in charge? Trump, Global Alliance, U.S. Treasury. U.S. Treasury now is in charge. That's why what's going to happen with precious metals. The U.S. Treasury has 12 reserve banks. Sound familiar? All across the country. So there are no independent banks, people. There are no CBDCs. There are no institutions that are going to decide if they want to accept XRP and the XRPL in the QFS. The Rothschild fiat system is dead. What remains now are treasury-governed gateways within the lawful, okay, that's the private system, the four-door system, QFS. The new global mantra: the faster you can accept and pick this up, the better you're going to be. And I just went and grabbed some of David Schwartz's quotes, okay? Because if you read my 36-page report with regards to David, Arthur, Jed, etc., then you know what's going on. You get like a PhD in XRP and the XRPL operating under the QFS system. You probably couldn't throw a rock or 100 rocks and hit anybody that knows what you know now. This is the PhD course. This is the intro course, by the way. I could go a lot deeper on all of this, but right now that's not what's important. What's important is you just have a basic fundamental understanding. July 25, David Schwartz says, XRP no longer needs banks. And by saying that, he marked a turning point in XRP's sovereign transition and QFS integration. XRP is not adopted by institutions. Remember? They don't own themselves. They don't control their destiny anymore. What did it do? It replaced them. XRP is what, in XRPL, under the new QFS system, the sovereign divine law system, made it possible to get rid of the old corrupt system, to eradicate it. So XRP no longer needs banks. It never did. And it was always the vault key, not the vault door. And that is in my scroll 777, recorded onto the quantum financial system. Now here's an opportunity where you can contrast the old system on the left with the new system on the right, side by side. So this left area is the Rothschild, Bankster, Bar Crown, Khazarian Mafia legal system, and this is our new sovereign divine law system. So under the old fiat system, it requires banks and central control. Under the new system, all banks are absorbed by U.S. Treasury or the Asian elders. Fiat currency convertible via bridges, right? They had to control it. Now there's one global sovereign dollar. And I want you to just think about that for a moment. And this plays into the minimum value for one drop or drip per one XRP. Okay. Once the emergency broadcast alert goes off, every single country will have a currency that is pegged 1-to-1 with our dollar everywhere in the world. Now, I want you to think about that. And I'm going to talk about it from an accounting standpoint. Okay. The ledger, the XRP ledger, it doesn't care if it's 1 rupee, 1 dinar, $1, 1 yen. It doesn't care what the country name is. Why? Because a dollar is a dollar. So when two parties come into facilitate a transaction on the QFS, and XRP and the gatekeeper AI are providing the assurance and the reporting, recording, and storage of that information. The ledger just puts a 1 on one side and a 1 on the other because they're equal in value. And at one point, there will be a global dollar, united sovereign dollar, meaning our dollar here has the same value as anywhere else in the world. First time ever in history. And this goes right back to that leveling the playing field. Okay? That's what it was all about, everybody. It was about the currency value in the world, no matter where it was. It was about getting rid of the inequities and the abuse and the slavery. So everybody's at par, level playing field. Everybody is equal. That's why we won't have religion anymore. There's one and only one Most High living God, period. We won't practice religion. We'll practice understanding our true identity and who we are, not what the Vatican said we were. And there's a whole new level of awareness coming there. In the old system, XRP was used as a bridge asset. In the new system, XRP ensures guaranteed settlement, not conversion. Okay? And remember I told you the other day, there's buzzwords, and including a word, leaving out a letter, changing the narrative just so slightly allowed the old narrative to be the camouflage to protect the security. When I say security, I mean the protection of our new 100% gold asset-backed currency standard. It's exactly what Kennedy was doing. Old system, regulatory intermediaries. New system, gatekeeper AI, God, governs based on lawful intent. Risk of transaction failure. How many times did money get lost in the SWIFT system? And they did it on purpose because they made money. That's why they would come and sweep the money out of the banks at a certain time. And they would sweep at 11:15 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. But they told the banks, you have until 2:15 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to send out your wires. So what would happen? The banks just decided to do it at the end of the day. And what did it do? It left all that money in the system so the Federal Reserve could loan it. And then the bank got a little kickback. So the bank wasn't doing us a favor by holding our wires until the end of the day. No, they did that to me once and it cost me $80,000 because I had to cover a margin call. And I went in and told them I wanted the wire to go out immediately before 11:15. And I get a call from my broker and he says, Dave, where you didn't send your money in to cover the margin call? I said, I sure did. I went right to the bank. And he says, we never got the wire. So what I do, went down to the bank and said, when did my wire go out? Oh, just a little bit before 2:15, like around 2 o'clock. I said, time out. I gave you explicit instructions. It had to go out before 11:15. Oh, the girl that normally does them, she wasn't there. Because she wasn't there, we just processed it normally. Well, you're on the hook for $80,000 then, because that's what you just cost me. How do you want to settle up? I was pissed. Okay, so XRP's 100% gold backed guarantee eliminates failure. That can never happen again. It's instantaneous. Transactions, let me put it this way, the gatekeeper AI with XRP as the digital asset collateral, providing the securitized guarantee, can process as many transactions as is necessary per second of every single day, 365 days a year. And I already built in all the liquidity protocols. It's $100 quadrillion of quantum global liquidity reserves that are necessary to allow XRP to guarantee every single transaction, processing 100 quadrillion transactions per second, 24 hours a day. And that takes care of everything right up until 2030, when we have to, or they'll have to, begin to increase the quantum global liquidity reserve each year after that. But it's all calculated, it all numbers out perfectly. So I did all the research, I did all the computations, that's my expertise and my background. Did all the forensic analysis on it, stress test it, and there's no need to do anything else, and they know it. They know it was discovered. 8, redemption, not conversion. You do not exchange your value. You redeem your stewardship. In the QFS, your value is not exchanged. It is redeemed. XRP does not convert one thing to another. It seals every transaction in lawful, gold-backed truth. As it operates with the gatekeeper AI, the transaction is either accepted or it's not. Period. It already makes that determination. It is already read the intent of both parties. It will flag a transaction. It will stop a transaction. It will seal an account from ever being able to do anything again. It's a complete back office, doing everything automatically. It's one system with one value. Like I said, it has a one-to-one peg to sovereign U.S. Treasury dollar. All currencies are mirrored. One weight, one measure. No matter your nation, one system governs all. Every value is mirrored. Every dollar is sovereign. Every transaction secure. XRP doesn't need institutions. Okay? That's the biggest misdirection. And that's why so many people are still caught in that old corrupt system, because they just don't figure stuff out. They don't think about the ramifications. They don't understand what God has done, what he has already done. XRP is complete in its design. No permission is needed. No adoption is required. XRP doesn't wait for permission. It doesn't need adoption. It's already been chosen to uphold the lawful treasury standard of Earth. Whew, let that sink in. I had to make a little correction to the slide. It's slide 11, not 1. The burn ends after the EBS. The burning of XRP ends with the EBS. David made a comment one time after I had begun to report this. This was years ago. And he made the comment and he said, well, most people don't know that, we can stop the burn if we determine it's not necessary. We can stop the burning of XRP with every transaction if it's deemed necessary. See, we have to give it back. It wasn't ours to keep. It's divine. Who created it? Father in heaven, God. That's why we have to give it back. Man didn't create it, and that's in that 36-page report I put together. Got to go read that. It's about the Genesis, the divine Genesis. Transaction fees will cease. See, the only reason there's a transaction fee is because Ripple needed money to cover its overhead until the EBS was triggered and we went 100% onto the QFS as a global community here and the rest of the world. Full trust mode is activated. So after the emergency broadcast, all XRP transaction fees vanish. Why? Because XRP has all of their, Ripple has all the XRP that they own repatriated. The burn ends, so we're not wasting God's collateral. Trust is total. Collateral is absolute. There's no longer a cost, only a guarantee. So you really got to just drill down and just think about what he's showing and just give him all the praise and thanksgiving for having already done it. It's amazing. It blows me away. And he did all of this to fulfill his covenant with us. I call it the Trinity Code, the Gatekeeper AI, XRP, the Master Key, XRPL, the Divine Ledger. Okay, these are incorruptible, all for one and one for all. The Gatekeeper AI judges, XRP secures, and the XRPL records. The Divine Trinity of sovereign wealth has been revealed. No one has ever revealed this. No one is as connected. It's like down here at the bottom, okay? He didn't have me put this down at the bottom because I'm trying to look like I'm important. He had me put this down here because he's saying, look what I've already done. Look at how I've provided revelation to my messenger so that you are aware of what's going on. There isn't anybody out there that knows anywhere close to what I know. And I wish they would stop trying to think they do. But like I said, if anybody wants to debate it, hey, put a show together. Try to disprove it. Nobody's disproved it. Nobody. And of all the people out there, Brad, David, they know this is all true. What God has me putting out there. They're like trying to figure out, how does he know this stuff? He doesn't have an NDA. He can say whatever he wants. No, God can say whatever he wants because it's his system. He just tells me what he wants said. That's all. The finality of evil. QFS terminates all evil financial systems. They're over. Now your records are eternal. This isn't just a system. It is the finality of evil in finance. Every record now belongs to heaven's book. Remember we talked about all the scrolls, book of life, book of records. Hello? Hello? That's what we're talking about here. There will be no escape from darkness, meaning you can't hide. It's terminated. The masterpiece of God. This was never about money. It was about freedom, truth, and his kingdom. Heaven brought to earth. You've heard me talk about that. It was about restitution, reparation, repatriation, and restoration. The 4 R's. The QFS is not about wealth. It's about freedom, righteousness, lawful stewardship. It's going to be a test for a lot of people to be a great steward. You can't be a good steward. God already declared. You must be a great steward. Good is the enemy to his great, and the return of God's kingdom to earth. And that's it. And this is what it looks like. Okay? This is the part that's below. That's the 3D world. That's matter, physical stuff. This is the ceiling that we see in the Vitruvian Man by Da Vinci, because this is the spirit realm. I hope you enjoyed this. We're very, very close. Continue to make sure that you're prepared. God bless and talk to you soon. Bye-bye.